Hey everybody, and welcome to our early comics review video. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our big show where we show you some of the biggest and best books that are releasing this week to your local comic book store. So whether you shop with us in store, at your own store, or at infinityflux.net, all of these books are up there live. You can order them right now, so when they release on Wednesday, you don't have to worry about them running out. You will already have your name on them. But while supplies last, because some of these will go fast.
For sure.
But we want to give you a little bit better idea of what to expect when you're expecting.
Expecting great comics.
Expecting great comics, that is. So this is a big week, some big titles, some big number ones.
Yep.
So let's get into it.
Yeah, we are going to start with Punisher Red Band number 1. Frank Castle is back, and he's back wearing the classic skull. He's got the white gloves, the white boots. I don't know why I love that so much, but that's, to me, that's
For
Punisher.
someone who's so serious, like white boots are a very funny addition.
So this is written by Benjamin Percy. The art is by Julius Ota. And as far as I know, this is supposed to be an ongoing series.
Oh, is
I
it?
believe.
Okay.
Don't quite quote me on that, but I think it's supposed to be an ongoing. And this book wastes no time getting to the craziness. The first few pages feature the Punisher, Frank Castle, in, like I said, full Punisher gear. He is covered in blood. He's surrounded by the dead bodies of people who were in Tombstone's gang. And he's also on a boat belonging to Tombstone that contains lots of narcotics. And he set all that on fire. And it was really cool seeing Tombstone in this because Tombstone is also in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man sometimes. And it's kind of cool to see that little bit of connective tissue. Although I will say that because this is a Red Band book, the Tombstone in here is quite a bit more violent than the Tombstone over in Spider-Man. But you know, this does feel like your standard Punisher book, which is a great thing. But the twist to this is that Punisher doesn't remember who he is. He does remember how to be the Punisher. That part is very instinctual. You know, shooting people and loading guns, like all of that stuff.
Well, basically got his muscle memory, but not his actual memory.
That's right. That's right. So part of the book is the fallout from what the Punisher did at the beginning. You know, blowing up Tombstone's boat, lighting all of his drugs on fire. Tombstone is very unhappy with that, but he doesn't know who did it. He thinks it could be any one of the other 5 crime families. He has no idea, so he's going to punish them all, basically. So that's part of it. The other part involves another well-known Marvel character who we haven't seen in their full capacity in quite some time, and that's a little bit of a tease there. I don't want to tell you much about that part though, because you know I was surprised. I don't know if it's supposed to be surprising or not, but when I turned the page, I was like, oh, there's so and so.
Yeah.
I missed seeing so and so, and I'm just excited for what that might mean for this book and possibly for other Marvel books too. So I'm glad that that character has a role in this. But yeah, this is cool. I mean, I've always been a big Punisher fan. I didn't really care for the Joe Garrison Punisher from the last couple of years. So I'm glad to have Frank Castle back. I do think it would be cool for them to face off at some point though. And you know, this is a Red Band book as well, which it does earn that title, that moniker, I guess. It's pretty bloody. There is some graphic content. We were just talking about it, though. They still censor the language, though, which doesn't really make any sense.
It feels like, you know, this is adult for the standard of Marvel, but not for the standard of comics in general.
That's right.
You will see this and much worse and read much worse dialogue and stuff in average Image titles.
Yeah. This is tame for an Image book, if it were an Image book.
Yeah, but it's still, you know, not for kids, but it is... You know, what I think of is just about right for a Punisher book.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like, you know, we'll read books like some Wolverine book or something that's not Red Band, or the Predator book.
Yeah.
And it's worse than this.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you know, the Red Band is more of a fun little idea without being really, you know, all out there.
Right.
But what I did like a lot in this book is Punisher not knowing who he is, but kind of trying to figure it out and using those muscle memories, and kind of towards the later half of the book, him trying to recover from some wounds he has and everything. It's just cool to see him back. He's a big Punisher. You know,
Yeah,
this
he
is
looks like the Punisher.
yeah.
You know?
He in
And he
some
acts like the Punisher.
in some scenes he feels like not as big as absolute Batman, but you know this is a well built.
He's beefy.
He's beefy Punisher, and there is the bigger mystery in this of how is he back from what they thought was dead, but he was in Weird World. We know that from the end of his previous book.
Yeah.
And what's going on with that story, you'll have to read it. But there's a lot of fun multi-layer mysteries in this that I could see this running for a long time, playing off all of those.
Yeah, I don't normally like amnesia stories because I find it frustrating when the main character doesn't know who they are, but I know. I'm like screaming. It's like, no, you're the Punisher. But that does actually fit well in this, though, because again, like you said, he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't, you know, how is he back? Why is he back? Those are the mysteries that we'll have to keep reading the series to find out. But there is an interesting hint on the last page that may answer at least part of that, but in doing so, it raises more questions. Exactly. So very, very cool, though. Very classic Punisher. I just hope the amnesia bit doesn't last too long. But so we have our A cover by Marco Cicchetto. I love Cicchetto's Punisher. We have this Frank Miller variant. These are, and I should say too, this is only red band. There's no non-red band version of this book in any form. So there's the Frank Miller cover. We have the Gist cover. Oops. This is the foil logo variant, the classic Punisher logo. I'm so glad to have it back. And then this is cool. The 1 in 25 Patrick Gleason variant that we're selling for $19.99.
Yeah, and again, this is nowhere as adult and mature as like Punisher Max.
Oh, this
or any of the Max titles.
This is a all ages book compared to Punisher Max.
Yeah, so that kind of gives you an idea of the level it is.
Yep.
Well, I've got an awesome one here. This is Absolute Batman number 12. This series, we say it a lot, but feels like it continues to get better and better with each issue. Also, just the stuff we're discovering in it and the stakes that keep getting raised. So the previous issue was a big one where you had the last issue was kind of that like what if like all this went through with Bane and what his plans for Batman were. But we did see that Batman has kind of escaped Bane's clutches, but not without some scars and some lasting effects. I'm wondering what is going to happen with that.
Right.
So that's really interesting. But when he recovers, which is not a spoiler, I mean, you can imagine he's not in Bane's clutches forever. When he recovers, he soon learns that Bane has been busy while he has been a captive of Bane. And as bad as it's been for Bruce and Batman, we saw, I believe on the last page of not the last issue, but the issue before that, maybe? Or was it last issue?
It was the very end of last issue was Bane like confronting Bruce's friends.
Yeah.
The last bit of the issue before that was them busting out. Was Batman and CORT busting out of Arkham.
Yeah. So you saw how they got out, but yes, Bane is now targeting Batman's friends, and let's just say it is not good for Oswald, for Edward Nygma, for Harvey Dent. This is a pretty brutal issue.
It's very brutal.
But just scary because the Bane story isn't over, but you're continuing to see just the lengths Bane will go to.
Yeah.
And that part is scary.
Yeah, it shows how brutal Bane can be, but also how very surgical he can be.
Yeah.
I don't mean that like surgery, but just like very surgical and methodical, that kind of thing.
Strategic.
Yeah, Bane is just so scary here.
So that is a lot of this issue is Bruce kind of learning what has happened since he's been away and just the horror of it all. But also there is a subplot with a certain Selena Kyle, and we do know that she is coming up in the book very soon. We've seen the concept art for her helmet that kind of looks like one of Black Mask Gang's helmets.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah, we don't know a whole lot about the role she's going to play in this. We've more seen her absence than we've seen her there. And this maybe starts to unpack a little bit of what their relationship was like when she was around before Bruce was Batman, all of that. So this is a great issue. This continues to be a very disturbing book, but still very fun. But yeah, this is definitely a universe powered on dark side energy.
Oh, for sure,
Because
yeah.
there's no happiness
Nope.
here. But yeah, continues to be great. There is a part in the beginning with Croc that I just really like this version of Killer Croc.
There's
It's
one
really
panel
cool.
specifically that that's so
Yeah,
cool.
this is awesome. So don't miss out on this issue. I mean, why would you? This is maybe the number one book coming out. This is awesome. Great issue. Pick it up. We've got our A cover right here, which, I mean, doesn't get a whole lot better than that.
Mhm.
But we do have more. We've got this Paul Pope variant. Batman holding on to his own little knife ears. And we have this 1 in 25. This is a Subic variant. We're selling for $14.99. And there is also the version of that Paul Pope cover. This is a 1 in 50. We're selling for $29.99. All while supplies last
Yep.
at infinityflexes.net.
Which they probably won't last much longer. Okay, we have got Red Hood #1. This is the start of a new Red Hood series. I think this one also is supposed to be ongoing. I think so anyway. This is from Gretchen Felker Martin, and the art is by Jeff Spokes. And this book is interesting because, kind of like what we were talking about with the Red Band stuff, this book is also a mature book with, well, you know, a little bit more mature violence, more mature language, that kind of thing. But it's not a black label book like these types of books normally are. This is in continuity with Batman and everything else that's going on. And in fact, it references a couple things from Hush 2, which, you know, we've said before that Hush 2 kind of feels like it's disconnected from everything else. But no, Hush 2 is canon. This is canon with Hush 2. And in fact, so this book sees Jason Todd leaving Gotham, leaving the Bat family, and moving to the city of New Angelique, which actually feels a lot like New Orleans. And the reason he leaves Gotham is because of the events of Hush 2. The big, you know, scuffle that he and Batman got in, the fact that Batman was trying so hard to save the Joker's life. When the Joker killed Jason, you know, Jason's like, well, just let him die, you know. So Jason just can't handle it. So because of Hush 2, we get this book. So he goes to New Angelique, and it's not long before he gets wrapped up in this investigation. There are some strange occurrences that have been happening within the New Angelique Police Department. And it's happened several times where a member of that police department will seek out another member of that police department and do some bad things to them before permanently, yeah, fatally injure them and then fatally injure themselves as well. I don't know what I can say on YouTube, but you know, and it's happened several times with several members of that police department. And every time that's happened, they always, right before they finish the job, they always say the same thing of the tower says hello. So who is the tower? What is the tower? How are they making these cops do this? We have no idea. Um, and it's not long before the Huntress finds him as well, and she wants in on his investigation. He does not want her there. He's like, you know, go back to Gotham, and she says, you know, nobody sends me anywhere. I go where I want. So she is there whether Jason likes it or not. So the two of them kind of, you know, have you know, a tenuous relationship or partnership, I should say, trying to figure out this mystery of why these cops are doing this. Now, Jason also reaches out to another vigilante type character named Royale. I think this issue is their first appearance. It's another like hooded, cloaked figure, you know, to try to get some information about what's going on with all this. But that may actually wind up to have not been such a great idea for him to do that. So yeah, I mean, I really like this a lot. I've already read the second issue as well, and that just furthers the mystery. I just think, you know, there's been a lot of talk about his new look. I'm not super crazy about his new look, but I do like the big question mark. Like, why is this happening? Who or what is the tower? How are they making these cops do these things? And you know why? And I don't know. There's something else too that's weird that happens when they hear this message that kind of puts them in this trance. There's something else weird that happens that you'll have to see. But yeah, I liked it. You know, I like the artwork. There's some good action, but I'm just really into the mystery. I just really want to know what's going on.
Yeah, if people are wondering what's their interesting, like why isn't this a black label? DC's basically said black label are stories not in continuity. They're
Yeah.
kind of a side to everything.
That's right.
But they wanted to make sure this was currently, this is what's going on with Red Hood
Yeah.
in the current Batman continuity.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we have our A cover here, and we've got this Delato variant. I like that one a lot. We have this foil Okyung Yom. They're doing a lot of cool cover. You can barely see. Yeah, it's nice foil with Red Hood and Huntress. We have this 1 in 25 Nick Robles variant that we're selling for $14.99. And we're selling this 1 in 50 Jim Lee cover for $49.99. I love the homage to Death in the Family,
Yeah.
but then you got his new look there. That's really cool.
Next up, we have another pretty big one from Marvel. This is X-Men of Apocalypse Alpha. So, as you can see with the title and everything, very much resembles Age of Apocalypse, and that's what this is playing off of. This is written by Jeff Loeb, so one of your classic X-Men writers, who's really, writing Hush 2 and now writing this. And the art in this is by Simone DeMeo. And just got to point out again, the lettering in this is by our friends at Comicraft, Richard Starkings and Tyler Smith. So awesome that they are, and that was who originally lettered back at the Age of Apocalypse books. So even down to the lettering and everything, it looks like you're reading a classic, Age of Apocalypse book. So this is really interesting. This is, we've got our Age of Revelation coming up in the X-Men books. This is not related to that. This is much more of a somewhat of a sequel to your original Age of Apocalypse. Now, I will say part of this I had a little trouble with because it does not catch you up on how did Age of Apocalypse end.
If you haven't read Age of Apocalypse, you're going to be completely lost, basically. Like, they heavily assume that you've read Age of Apocalypse.
Yeah, I had to do a little research of, how did that series end?
Yeah.
What was, where were all the characters once that was over? But in this, we do know that the characters within the Age of Apocalypse, at the very end of the story, the original story, they knew that they were in another incorrect version of the timeline.
Yeah.
They knew that Professor X was going to kind of, using Nightcrawler, they're going to kind of tie off this version of the universe, the Age of Apocalypse universe. And in doing so, kind of make everybody's lives better because they were thinking this is going to revert us all to the correct timeline and everything will be happy. Well, that didn't happen. And that's what we find in here. So we have our cast of characters from Age of Apocalypse that were left at the end. So we've got Blink, who is great to see Blink back. Victor Creed, which is Sabretooth, but he does not go by Sabretooth because he's actually a good guy in this. With Wild Child, we've got Gambit, Rogue, Magneto, Morph, etc. You've got Forge in there. But we get a couple of cool action scenes and everything, but the big part is Magneto essentially goes to the remaining X-Men and informs them, hey, aren't you a little wondered why we're all still here? And someone even mentions, I remember dying. I remember, essentially the end of Age of Apocalypse. Yeah. And then suddenly we're all back here. So wasn't everything supposed to go back right? What kind of limbo state are we currently in? And maybe they're going to try and figure that out and revert it. Maybe we can do something to fix this and fix our timeline. But some people also think maybe we're the correct timeline. Yeah. Maybe the Age of Apocalypse story is, what was meant to be, and that other one is the wrong one. So there is some different ideas, but both of them kind of want things to be the way they're supposed to be, whether it's one way or another. It's a really fun book. The art is awesome. I love Simone DeMeo's art in this. It's great to get caught up with these characters. I love this version of Gambit. He's a very dark version of Gambit because Rogue in this is with Magneto, not with him. And that's kind of a missing piece of him.
He's just not as jovial.
Yeah, no, but his powers are awesome. And so this is, I don't want to give too much away about what their plan is, how they're planning on doing it. There's some great interactions with characters. There's a great interaction between Sabretooth and Blink. There's a great interaction between Morph and Magneto. Morph is great in this. He's one of the highlights of the book. But again, this may require you doing a little bit of research into Age of Apocalypse if you're not super caught up, if you don't remember a lot about that, because I love that story. Like, that is right in my timeline of reading comics. I love all the artists that worked on there, Joe Moderea and stuff. But I remember more of the beginning of that series than I do the end of it. And they do kind of briefly mention, I remember this happening, and this happening. And it's like, okay, I guess that happened at the end of it, but I don't really remember that.
Yeah, this just made me want to go back and just, I've got the Age of Apocalypse omnibus. I just wanted to break that open and read the whole thing after this.
Yeah, so there's not a first page that's like previously in Age of Apocalypse. This just goes straight into it. Yeah. So, yes, I recommend this. It is beautiful. It's really fun. The characters are really fun. But be prepared if you may have some questions that you got to look up. And for me, some of the answers were easy to find, some weren't. But also, I think there may be, in future issues, they might kind of, iron all that out. Yeah. And characters may express what they thought was happening or what the last thing they remember, something like that. So, really cool. Really liked it. I think it might even be a little bit of an oversized first issue. It's $5.99, so it might be a couple more pages.
It might be like 32 pages or something.
But it was really fun, and I just love seeing these versions of the characters back because I was always a fan of these looks.
40 pages.
Yeah, they all have really cool their Age of Apocalypse costumes, and it's cool having Magneto, but he's like a good guy.
Yeah,
all of that. But very cool. X-Men of Apocalypse. Number 1, we've got our A cover here, and this is a big one this week, so there's a lot of covers. We've got an Ian Churchill cover with Victor and Wildchild. This is awesome. This is the Joe Moderea cover, the Joe Mad cover, who has not done a whole lot of stuff lately. A little bit on that Battle Chasers miniseries from a year or two ago, but that's your classic Age of Apocalypse artist, and I love his stuff. We also have this.
This is really nice.
Lionel Francis Yu foil cover.
It's a nice spot foil, so all the characters are just like, matte finish, and then everything else is foil.
Really highlighted on there. We've got this is part of his animated style, Mark Brooks cover with an animated style Wolverine. We've got a Peach Momoko cover. We've got a mask variant. You want to be Magneto from the 90s. A really fun Scotty Young cover.
Yeah, that's great.
A Torrin Clark variant. It's interesting Apocalypse is on here because they defeated Apocalypse. Yeah. Like, they reference, like, when he died, this all should have been fixed. There's, of course, a blank sketch cover. And then we've got a few incentives for this. We have, I'm not sure if this is maybe a 1 in 25, but this is the Simone Bianchi cover selling for $14.99. We've got a Marco Cicchetto cover. How do you say his name?
I think it's Cicchetto.
Cicchetto. That we're selling for $34.99. Storm versus Apocalypse. And we have this big one. This we are selling for $69.99, and this is the version of the Joe Mad cover. I love this version of Wolverine. That is one of my favorites, and I know it's weird and the missing a hand, but there's still claws.
Yeah, but they're still in it. They're still in his arm, right? So why not?
But I just always thought he was so cool looking.
Yeah, he's got a good look. All right, so next up, we've got a new book from DC. This is CORT, Children of the Round Table, #1. This is from Tom Taylor and Danielle DiNicuolo. And this series is interesting because it's a creator-owned book. So think like how the Image books work or stuff from Boom or whatever. It's fully creator-owned, but it's published by DC Comics. But it's not in the main continuity of the main universe. So you're not going to see Superman, you're not going to see Batman ever pop up. This is completely separate from anything else that DC is doing. It just happens to be published by DC. Um, so this issue introduces us to these kids on the cover here. You've got Fel, Connor, Ash, Randall, Kelly, Kevin, and Hanan, and they are a group of friends. They're like 11, 12, maybe 13 years old, in that range. And they like to go out together and go on adventures and things like that. Kind of reminds me of a nerdier version of the Goonies. And one day they're going to go on another quest, which is really they're just going to go like explore a cave or something. But suddenly out of the sky falls this giant rock with a sword, a big sword sticking out of it, lands right in front of them. So Connor, who is this kid right here, he tries to pull the sword from the stone.
Oh, yeah, that's a
but
thing.
he has no luck. But Fel is able to do it very, very easily. She pulls that thing right out of there. And it's like a big, like, broadsword, too. Not quite like a cloud sword from Final Fantasy, but it's a big broadsword. So she pulls it out, and she's like, whoa, that's weird. The rock explodes, and all of these other sort of mystical fantasy-type weapons like spill out and land right in front of each of the kids. So he winds up with a sword. You can kind of see it here. This kid gets like a wooden stick, which that's what he thinks it is. Somebody gets a helmet. Somebody gets a bow. There's a spear and a big like lance, like you would see in jousting or something. And there's something special about these weapons that I don't want to tell you about. I want you to find that out for yourself. But they're more than just, oh, it's a sword and a bow. There's a little bit more to them than that. Now, one of the kids thinks that I lost my notes here. I lost my place. So Kelly thinks they need to take these weapons to the police, but Randall and Fel think they're like, no, these weapons chose us. We need to keep them. And then they learn something else about these weapons that makes them be like, yes, we're going to hang on to these. We have no idea why they're here, how to use them, but we're going to keep these for ourselves. So that's most of the issue, is just like setting this up. Now, as you might imagine, there is, they don't just get to keep these and nothing happen, right? There's this, yeah, right. There's this organization, I guess, that is going to start coming after them because they got these weapons. And we'll learn a little bit more about them in issue number 2. I've already read that one as well, and it's really cool. It adds more mystery into the mix. But this is just really fun. I mean, I grew up in the 80s watching, kid adventure movies like The Goonies and Space Camp and that kind of stuff. And this kind of feels like it could be that. The artwork is great. Daniel DeNicolo's art is so cool. It feels kind of like, has like a manga feel, which is great. So just this, bright colors. This is just really fun. It's very accessible for young readers, but it's also fun for older readers like us. So just all around, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, the second issue is even better because it adds more elements to the mix, and that's when the mystery really, really gets going. But yeah, highly recommend it if you just wanted something fun. It's not like dark or gritty, and you don't have to have read any other DC book ever. You can just pick this up and read it just for fun. So I really liked it a lot. So this is our A cover right here, and we have this, Dustin Nguyen variant. That's the sword. I mean, it's not that big, but that's the sword that she pulls out. And then this is the Nicoletta Baldari.
You can see some of the weapons on there.
Oh yeah, you can see the weapons really nice on there. Yeah, there's the big I don't know, if that's a I don't know what that is, a drill almost.
It's a drill with spikes on it.
Right, but yeah, really, really fun book.
Well, I've got what I really enjoyed. It's our next one-shot in the Imperial War story. This is Imperial War at Nova Centurion. So this is awesome. It's by Jed MacKay and Jonathan Hickman, which Jed MacKay, one of the best writers at Marvel right now. Oh, yeah. So whenever he's doing something, I already know I'm going to like it. And the art in this is by Matteo Della Fonte, which I really liked as well. The colors in this are really good. And it is about Richard Rider Nova, which it's been forever since we've had a traditional Nova book, but we were really excited when we saw he was going to be part of the Imperial storyline, and already it is off to a good start. So this does pick up right where we last saw Nova and Quill and Shuri in Imperial number 2, and we saw where Richard Rider is going to try and reactivate the world mind, which is kind of the central intelligence
Yeah.
of all of the Nova Corps. But of course, he's the last one left. And it's very interesting because he kind of thinks, I'm just going to turn this thing back on. We're going to be good to go. But what he doesn't realize is that essentially, since he was the last one, he was bequeathed way more control than a normal Nova Corps member would have. And once he turns it back on, suddenly he does lose some of that because it goes back to the world mind.
Yeah, he's no longer, once he turns the world mind back on, he is no longer Nova Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that becomes kind of an issue where he's like, oh, I was trying to, be good and restart this and everything, but now maybe that wasn't the best idea.
Yeah.
But it is really cool because a lot of this, even though there is some action and everything, is a big kind of discussion between him and the world mind and what being the last of the Nova Corps means and what kind of power he does have. We know we are getting a Nova book coming up after Imperial. This works really well as kind of a primer to that, and issue 0 that basically says, okay, here is what the current status quo of Nova is. Here is what his powers are. Here is kind of what his goal is right now. And part of the problem is the world mind, all that, has to be powered. And it is losing power, and he has to find a way to keep its energy level up. And we do know that's what part of his ongoing series is going to be, is kind of trying to keep the world mind powered up. And it does sound like it kind of takes money to do it, which
it's very pay to win, right?
Yeah, I need to read more to figure out why that is. But it sounds like he's going to have to be doing some jobs and everything. But I really, really like this. I really like his interaction with the world mind. And it's just great to get Nova back. So if you're a Nova fan, this is an awesome book.
Yeah, I'm a big Nova fan. I'm not a fan that he wears a leather jacket. It's like, why does he need that? You can fly in space. You don't need a jacket.
His arms get cold,
I guess.
But there is some pages at the end that may lead back into the Imperial War proper.
Right. Maybe. I mean, I don't see where else they would go if they don't.
Yeah. And, he's still part of that story.
Sure. Yeah.
So is Shuri and all of them. And it is funny that, like, he's having this interaction with the world mind while Peter Quill and Shuri are just kind of, like, standing back watching, being like, what's going on here? But I really like this. This is up there in my favorites of these one-shots so far. I really like She-Hulk. I really like Black Panther. And I really like this one. So we still got a couple more to go. I placed the orders today for the one with Super Skrull. But so far, Imperial has been a winner. This has been a really good story.
Sure.
So if you've been getting them all, awesome. I don't know if you would necessarily want to pick this one up without reading Imperial. But if you are excited for Nova, I do suggest reading this and reading Imperial. Because he plays a big part in this.
Imperial's good anyway, so just read it, yeah.
So here is your A cover. I don't hate the leather jacket, but I feel like any characters that are slightly like Green Lantern need to be wearing a leather jacket. Sometimes Hal wears the leather jacket. We've got a Mark Bagley cover. And we have this 1 in 25 Tony Daniel cover selling for $19.99, so that's really cool. And this, as being a setup for his new series, all the little pieces, little crumbs they drop, they're all really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
About the world mind and where it is and what's it currently doing.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that new series for sure. All right. Next up, we have another #1 from Marvel. This is the Undead Iron Fist. This is from Jason Liu and Fran Galan. And this is the start of a 4-issue miniseries that has Danny Rand returning to the land of the living after he was seemingly killed off at the end of the Iron Fist 50th anniversary special from August of last year. Yeah. And it starts with Mayor Luke Cage visiting Danny Rand's grave, but he's surprised to find that it's empty. Like, there's a big hole in the ground, and Danny Rand is no longer there. And then we see a very different looking Iron Fist. He looks like this. He's kind of standing in the street outside of an apartment building, looking up at this innocent looking family that's looking back out at him. But he can see, nobody else can, but he can see they've actually been possessed by these like demon type creatures that hunt down warriors from Kunlun. And so half of this book is him fighting those creatures, which is funny because he starts fighting them and the fight spills out into the street. But to all the bystanders around him, it looks like he's beating up this family. It looks like he's beating up a grandma and a dad and his son, or his daughter, I think. But he knows, no, they're possessed by these like weird demon things. So, but the other half of the book shows us Danny Rand's journey through the underworld, trying to get somewhere that's revealed on the last page, which I really, really like that because that involves another character that's part of the Iron Fist lore, the mythos that we haven't seen in a long time. So it was really cool to see that last page. So basically, I guess through this miniseries, we're gonna have two stories. We're gonna have the story of Danny Rand, Iron Fist, like in the real world fighting these demons, but then also a little bit before that of when he was in the underworld doing something that I don't want to tell you about. The only other thing is that it seems that Iron Fist's time back in the land of the living is limited because there's this voice that narrates the whole thing, but we don't know whose voice it is. Or maybe we do. I don't know. I don't think we know whose voice it is. And basically, it says that you've been given enough power to do what you need to go do, but if you use it up too quickly, you're gonna come back to the underworld without having accomplished what you wanted to do. Kind of like Spawn in the old days.
Yeah,
Spawn
yeah.
had a limited amount of power, so Danny Rand has a limited amount of power, and if he burns it up too fast, he's not gonna be able to finish what he wants to do. So I just thought this was really cool. This has some questions of how is he back, why is he back, why now, that kind of thing. I hope that at the end of this he actually gets to stay back, but I guess we'll have to see. But yeah, brand new Iron Fist featuring Danny Rand, and his look is really cool. Like I want to know he seems like his power is maybe a little bit different than just like the one glowing fist. He's got a little bit something more going on, but I thought this was cool, and the artwork was really good too. So this is the A cover, and I believe this is the only one we have.
That was an interesting series because I kind of feel like it came out of nowhere. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't hear too much about it, and then suddenly it was.
all of a sudden he's back. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do like the suit. I think it has a cool kind of mythical quality
Yeah.
to it. Well, next up, I've got Ultimate Wolverine #9. This was an awesome issue. I've really enjoyed Ultimate Wolverine a lot because it feels like, yes, it's attached to the Ultimate Universe and what's going on, but it's been a little bit more character driven rather than Spider-Man is dealing a lot with the cabal and dealing with what's the bigger picture. This feels like this is just Wolverine's story of him
Yeah.
kind of coming back from being used as a tool. So this is your Sentinel issue, which no spoiler that he is fighting them on the cover, but that is awesome because so the Eurasian Republic has mutant hunting sentinels. So that's who is behind the sentinels in this is, Ileana and Colossus and all of those. Their whole department is over these, including Directorate X, which is where Wolverine was created, or, where he was brainwashed and all of that. But now at this point, they have sentinels that are going out and attacking mutants, just like in your 616 X-Men. They are very similar to those sentinels. They look a lot the same. They're a little sleeker and that kind of thing, but very similar. But there is something a little bit different, and the opposition, the group that Wolverine is in currently, because he's no longer brainwashed, he's fighting for the good guys. They learned that not only is this facility they're making the Sentinels, sending out these Sentinels, but they are capturing mutants and doing experiments, maybe trying to cross Sentinels and mutants. And they're like, okay, this is definitely something we have to shut down. So, using the tech of Forge, Wolverine, and some other of the members of the opposition are going to break into this facility, which has a very classic X-Men name, but I don't want to give away because I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
They're going to break into there and try and free all of these mutants and shut down, basically destroy the facility. But you'll have to also see how are they going to get in there because, this is a high security place. But also, this is personal for Wolverine because this is, part of the facility, and some of the people working there are the ones who are over turning him into this weapon that he was. So On top of him breaking in, there's also this kind of personal element that he's going to have to confront while he's there. There are some surprises in this. There is some familiar faces, but maybe not how you thought you would see them. And at least for one character that I've been wondering, are we going to see? There's a pretty definite, here they are, and don't really expect to see them again.
Yeah.
So
this is a bummer.
yeah. Did you read it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you saw.
Yeah.
You saw Krang.
Right.
But this was really awesome. It's action packed. I've just really been enjoying this. So there's 3 issues left. This is a 12-issue series. And I'm looking...
Which will take us right into Ultimate Endgame, because we have October, November, December left, and then end of December is Ultimate Endgame. So,
Which I like. I'll be interested to see, is he going to, are they going to take on the Make or whatever, Wolverine leading the opposition? Like, he's got a team of people with him that can, do stuff here.
Maybe.
So, looking forward to it, but I've enjoyed pretty much every issue of this series so far. This is your A cover for that. We also have this Mobley variant. And we have this very cool 1 in 25 Maria Wolf cover. We're selling for $24.99.
All right, I've got Captain America #3 continuing this series, and I'll go ahead and tell you that this is my favorite issue of this series. I loved issue #1. I loved issue #2. But I really, really liked this one the best so far. So we get a lot of Doom in this. And again, don't forget, this series takes place about a week or 2 after Captain America got thawed out of the ice. So this isn't like present day Marvel. This is an updated, it's like Marvel in the 60s, right? But updated to like early 2000s.
Now it's like, like 90s, 2000s.
Well, we saw the destruction of the Twin Towers. So I guess it's like early 2000s. Yeah. So, but we get a lot of Doom in this, and Doom in this story has just recently sort of taken over Latveria. He took power for himself. He wasn't elected or anything. He just took it over. And so we get a lot of Doom in this. We learn some more about David Colton's previous deployments. We see that he spent some time in Afghanistan, and we learn how those deployments might affect him in the present, or at least the present day of this book anyway. And there's some cool action too, because that was my only thing, is like, okay, issue 1 set up a cool story, issue #2 kept setting up that story, but now I'm ready to see some action. We do get some in this. At the end of the last issue, Cap was confronted by Doom while Colton and the Howling Commandos went to try to find the American hostages, which is the whole reason they're there in the first place. And so Doom doesn't really want to fight Captain America, though. He actually says that he admires Cap. He says,
he's kind of a fanboy of
Cap.
Cap.
He's like, I'm a student of history. What you did in World War II, fighting Nazis, I thought that was great. I think America has potential. So on the outset, it seems like Doom is like, hey, we're cool. We don't have to fight.
Yeah, it's funny because this is not related to One World Under Doom.
Not at all.
But the Doom in this feels very, the same ideas and stuff that he's got in that.
Yeah. And so part of this book is Doom taking Captain America around Latveria to show him, look at all the peace that we enjoy thanks to me. But it kind of but you can tell that like he did it with an iron fist, right? And it kind of reminds me of Captain America Winter Soldier when Cap is talking to Nick Fury and he says, this isn't freedom, this is fear. And that's kind of what this is, right? So that I thought that was really cool. And then so while all of that's going on, David Colton and the Howling Commandos, they search for the American hostages because, again, that's why they're there. And they do find them, but you'll have to see sort of how it all plays out after that. So this issue is cool because as I was reading it, I could just you just feel this tension building. And then something happens and all hell breaks loose. And it's really cool. There's a few other things that I didn't really tell you about, but yeah, I mean, this is really cool, and the last page kind of gives you an idea of where this may go, and how 2 characters may come into conflict with each other. So just a really cool story.
Yeah, it does help to kind of remind yourself throughout this that this is not present day Marvel. This is, like you said, a couple of weeks after Cap was unfrozen.
Yeah.
And you realize you've basically seen everything he's done since he's been unfrozen.
That's right.
And you realize also what he hasn't done yet.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, like, thinking about it that way, because, like you said, the last page, you go, okay, I see how we're building towards modern day Cap, the Cap that we know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And it's weird because this book is set in the past, but in addition to that, you get flashbacks
Yeah.
that go even further back. So you have to sort of put your brain in the right headspace. But and I don't think the whole series is going to be like
No.
that. It's just this story arc. But I've been enjoying it a lot. I think this is really really cool.
Plus, just it's Cap versus Doom.
Cap versus Doom.
Even verbally, is just the richest of dialogue.
Yeah, absolutely. So another great issue, Captain America. I am loving this run so much. So this is our A cover right there. And we have this Zdarsky variant. I love seeing Doom in those colors. That's really...
I kind of want to see that as like a Elseworld thing.
Make the Hasbro, make that Marvel Legend. This is the one I pre-ordered. This is the Michael Cho cover. That looks so good. And then we have the Sue, the Disney crossover variant. And then this is the 1 in 10 Valerio Schiti design variant that we're selling for $7.99. You can see the David Colton designs right there. And then this is the 1 in 50 Anderson variant that we're selling for $39.99.
Next up, I have a new book from a pretty new publisher. Is this the first book that's been released from Ignition?
Yeah, I believe so.
So this is Murder Podcast from Ignition Press, which they do explain in a letter in the back of this how their company came about. But you'll see some very recognizable names. Actually, so this one is by Jeremy Hahn and Mike Tisserand. But we do have some like ash cans of, we've got the new book Deluge by Cullen Bunn and Marika Cresta, and Voyeur, which is coming up by Leah Williams and David Baldion. So these are some big hidden names from Marvel and DC that are going to be doing some books coming up. So this company is coming out of the gate really strong, and I really like this book. So this is such a like of the time, the true crime podcast, the phenomenon behind that, and true crime documentaries. This cold open, we do see a young woman who is listening to a podcast in her kitchen. It's you overhear the podcast, and it's a true crime podcast talking about a murder and everything. And when it ends, she's like, oh, she goes on. But then another podcast starts, and she looks down, she's like, okay, I'm in. And this one is called Dead Sounds. And suddenly, as she's listening to it, her eyes glaze over, and the podcast isn't coming out of the phone, but coming out of her mouth. Like she's
reciting it.
Speaking it. Even the dialogue box, it kind of changes colors. And when her husband comes in and he's like, hey, have you seen my shirt or whatever? He's like, oh, you're on the phone. Like, you're busy. And then suddenly she just all out attacks him and brutally takes him out.
And that's not a spoiler. That's the beginning.
That's like the first 3 pages.
Yeah, that's what this story is about.
Yeah. So now we get into the main part of the story where we meet a group of friends. And what I really liked about them is they're all meeting in a coffee shop. It gives you their names and kind of what they're into, their professions, their age. And they all talk like people really talk. It actually sounds like real conversations you'd have with your friends. And I thought that was all really grounded and really good. But they're all fans of these kind of podcasts, and they're talking about, hey, the season of that podcast just wrapped up. What did you think of the last episode? Oh, the setup was really good, but then I kind of thought it, fizzled out at the end. And one of their friends is an assistant to a
regional manager, assistant to the regional manager.
It's not an assistant. It's like a senator.
Right.
And some weird stuff has been happening. The senator went missing. And so she's like, my whole department's been up in arms, but we're going to get together for like a bonfire with these friends and everything. But, did you hear about that like crazy murder that happened? And she kind of describes what happened at the beginning of the book. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's nuts. And as they go about their day and everything, they start texting each other and be like, hey, what if we did a podcast talking about this local murder? And even a girl asked like a barista, like, hey, would you listen to that and stuff? But it's kind of one of those, it's all fun and games. Everybody's having fun with these until it starts hitting really close to home.
Yeah.
And that's what this book's going to be about is maybe, some of these stories they're fun to learn about and listen to, but they do involve real people and real stakes. And maybe that doesn't really hit you right on until maybe it affects someone close to you. And I will say there is a little bit more about maybe what happened to the girl in the beginning, and maybe some more dark and nefarious things going on that I was like, oh, that's a little juke and jive from how this book was going.
Yeah, there's one single page, kind of like midway or a little bit past midway in the story that just almost feels out of place.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, who are those people and what's going on here? And then it just goes back to
Yeah.
So there is something. I don't know if it's supernatural or
You'll
what,
see on
but
one of the variants the incentive, because you'll be like, why is that part of this?
Yeah.
Why is that a cover? But that one little hook is like, that had me intrigued to definitely want to see what happens next.
Yeah.
But I thought this was really good.
Yeah,
It
I
is
liked
a
it.
very strong start. The art is great. I'm really interested to see more from this publisher if this is the quality they're putting out.
Their next book, is it Voyeur, comes out next week, and I think that one looks really cool.
That one, yeah, the great creative team on that. The same team that did Exterminators at Marvel, which was a phenomenal book.
Love that book.
So this is some of your creative team that worked on The Beauty, which was an Image title that was really good from a few years ago. So try out this new book, especially if you're a fan of like crime podcasts and that whole thing, because this puts a really fun twist on those stories. So we've got our A cover here. Then we have a couple of variants. This is the Tisserand variant. This is your interior artist. And this is the one that may feel a little out of place. This is the Ibrahel cover. This is a 1 in 5 that we're selling for $7.99, and it's like, whoa, that looks like somebody that He-Man would punch.
Yeah, it's just that one single page completely caught me off guard because it doesn't look like any other page in the book.
Yeah, so that's really cool. And you know, I really like we've got these little ash cans for their upcoming books that talk about them. So yeah, I am definitely Ignition Press is on my radar of books to definitely check out when they put them out, and props to them because this sounds awesome.
Yeah, they're off to a real good start. Okay, I want to talk about Batman and Robin number 25. We have not talked about this book in a while, but I've been loving it. I'm a few issues behind, but I've loved this book since the beginning. But I want to talk about this one because this is the start of a brand new story arc called The Quiet Man. This is a good jumping on point if you want to read some Batman. You know, you could have jumped on to Batman number 1 last week, which was great. If you want to read some Batman with some Robin, this is a good start for that. Written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, who's been writing for the last several issues, but now the art is done by Fico Ossio, who is your new ongoing artist. And this is about a man named Cy, C-Y, and he just gets released from prison. He's an older man, and it seems like he's been in prison for a really long time. I think he may have been in there so long that maybe his son passed away while he was in prison. He's finally getting out. But then it kind of flips to this really big action scene with Tiger Shark and his gang attacking some of Penguin's gang. But Batman and Robin intervene, and that's where you see Robin gets. This is the debut of Robin's new costume. He's ditching the gray and going back to the yellow and the red and the green.
Damian Robin,
that's right. Yeah. And also Batman is in his new like Jorge Jimenez Batman number 1. You know, with the blue bat. You know, the blue and the gray. The artwork in this is great, and that action scene specifically is very, very cool. So yeah, they intervene on this big attack between Tiger Shark's goons and Penguin's goons, and they take care of all that. And afterwards, there is this really great moment between Batman and Robin where Batman tells Robin that he's proud of him both as Robin and as his son, and that he's going to try to give him a good life outside of just being Batman and Robin. And that's really nice to see, because a lot of what the previous story arc was about was Robin feeling like, I need to go do my own thing. I need to go, because Dad, you went off and did your own thing when you were my age. I need to go do that too. But now Damian seems like he's like solidified in Gotham now, and Batman. It was just nice to, Batman even says like, you're as capable a partner as I've ever had. You are a good son. You're a good Robin. Like, it was a very touching moment from Batman. Like I really like that. It
goes to what we were saying in Batman number 1. Is this feels like a Batman who is more embracing his family than pushing them away.
That's right.
And kind of a more matured Batman.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem as like angry, as dark and angry. He still instills fear in criminals, but when it comes to his family and everything, he's welcoming of them. So all of that was really cool. So Bruce tells Damian that they have earned a night off because of we just put away all these criminals. Gotham's going to be okay one night. Let's go to the movies. That's Bruce's suggestion. He's like, you want to go catch a movie? I think we can grab a late show. So they go off and go to the movies, which is really cool. But while they're there, things get really crazy at the Iceberg Lounge when Cy, the old guy from the beginning, goes to visit the Penguin. And it seems like maybe they have some history together, but we don't know what. And then things are gonna go from there. So I'm sure when Bruce and Damien get out of the movies, they're probably gonna like check their phones like everybody does and be like, oh shoot, that's going on. We better go deal with that. So really cool first issue of this new story arc. The artwork is great. Props to DC for not launching this with a new number one. They're just like keeping the story going. But yes, this really is a good jumping on point. Like I said, I'm several issues behind on the previous story arc, but I was still able to jump into this and I wasn't confused whatsoever. So very, very good start for a new story arc in Batman and Robin. So this is our A cover, and let's see, is that the oh, that's Javi Fernandez. So that was your previous artist right there. This is the Gillum March variant. You can see Robin's new costume a bit there.
That's a Fico.
This is the one I pre-ordered too. Yeah, this is the Fico Ocio. So that's what the inside of the book looks like with Batman in his new suit, Robin in his new suit. Just so cool. This is the Miguel Mercado variant.
Pumpkin spicy.
Yeah, pumpkin spicy variant. That's right. I guess that's spicy. Batman or Bruce climbing walls.
Just walked and started climbing this wall.
Yep. And this is the 1 in 25 Ashley Wood variant that we're selling for $19.99. I had a lot of fun with this one.
Well, next up, I have a new Star Wars book. This is a miniseries. It's from Dark Horse. Star Wars Tales from the Nightlands, #1. And once I finished this, I kind of understood. So this isn't a one-shot. This is a mini-series. But I think each of these issues is going to take place in a different time in Star Wars. So this first one takes place in the time of Obi-Wan and Anakin being his apprentice. Anakin is pretty young in this. This is by Van Scott and Sue Lee. And this sees Anakin and Obi-Wan heading to Ryloth, which if you've watched Clone Wars, you've seen Ryloth quite a bit. That is the homeworld of the Twi'leks. And, they've got their whole community there and everything. And they're actually going there to pay respects for a former head of the Twi'lek family, the kind of a matriarch there has passed away, and they're going kind of representing the Republic, but also as the Jedi because they've been big supporters of the Jedi the whole time, and they're paying their respects. But Anakin kind of feels like we're Jedi, we need to be out having adventures and stuff, and this is just going to be really boring. And when they get there, they also learn that the princess, who is about Anakin's age, there also thinks that this is going to be pretty boring as well. She loved her grandmother, but she never really got to say goodbye. And so she has an idea, and she even brings it up when they first land. She's like, "Yeah, I want to try and do this like ritual. Tonight is the Nightmare Junction." And it's kind of like the Halloween, like the veil between the living and dead is at its thinnest, and she wants to be able to reach out and tell her a grandmother that she loved her and all of that. And they're like, that's an old legend and you're crazy. But Anakin's like, I actually think you should be able to do that. So they are going to sneak away and try and talk to her grandmother from the great beyond. But what they end up summoning might be something not as sweet, something quite a bit darker. This is your first appearance of the creature, the Nightlander, which is essentially the Star Wars universe version of the Boogeyman. And that seems like that's going to be the thread through all these issues, because at the end it does show that the next issue has like Leia and Luke in it, maybe set during the original trilogy. That I wonder if that's each of the issues going to take place during a different trilogy. I'm not sure, but this is kind of a one and done story, but with the this theme, and maybe this character is going to carry on into another story coming up. So this was really fun. There's been one of these every year, different like Star Wars horror from Dark Horse, and they've all been really fun. It was Tales from Vader's Castle for a while and everything. So a perfect spooky time book, even though, there's no Halloween in Star Wars, this is pretty close. We've got a great Francavilla cover here. And that is the Nightlander in the back, very scary with three kind of, I guess it's three eyes. And we also have a variant for it. This is the concept art version of it by McKeag. And you can see that's a little bit more, even though this is a more wispy version of what it looks like in the book, it does kind of solidify a bit more.
All right, I got Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum #2. And in this one, Superman tries out the Cobalt Kryptonite. Or actually, he doesn't try it. It actually just sort of gets out. He's affected by it accidentally. And the Cobalt Kryptonite makes him grow big. That's pretty much it. I mean, you can see here on the cover. But he continues to grow at the rate of I can't remember what it said, 5 feet every 25 minutes or 4 feet or something like that. So he's slowly growing and growing and growing. So he's like, they're in the Fortress of Solitude, and Batman says that it's not going to be long before he's so big that military radars are going to be going off because there's this big mass at the North Pole. So he goes to, is it the North Pole or is it just the Arctic? Right,
it's the Arctic.
The North Pole is where Santa Claus lives.
I think in the movie they changed it to be the South Pole.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah, it's in the Arctic.
So Superman decides to go to Metropolis to talk to everybody. He's like, I'm going to stand next to the Daily Bugle and tell everybody, don't worry, it's okay. I'm just bigger.
I'm just big Superman.
I'm just big Superman, but I'm fine. My friends are working on it. Do not worry. But while he's in Metropolis, things go pretty terrible when Lex shoots giant Superman with a red kryptonite missile. And so red kryptonite kind of, makes Superman mean.
So now it's big, angry Superman.
He's big, angry Superman, that's right. So it's going to be up to Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and Atom Smasher to try to stop him and save the city. And that's what, so you've got, you eventually got Kaiju Superman, stomping down the street in Metropolis, and they have to try to slow him down. And then the very last page gives us a hint as to what the next issue might have him dealing with. So yeah, just really fun. This is Black Label, although it's not mature, but it's Black Label in that it is completely disconnected from everything else. And I should mention, from the same team that brings you Ice Cream Man every month, so it's just kind of wacky and out there, but really, really fun. It's just fun seeing these new Kryptonites have these effects on Superman. So this is our A cover right here. And we have this is the Alex Ekman Lawn variant.
I love that one because that's the plane at his feet.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
because
he's giant. Yeah, he can still fly and everything. He's just big. That's all it is. He's just big now. And then this is the Juan Ferreira variant. I should have known that one.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
I just like that they're doing this book with just almost like Twilight Zone Superman stories.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, next up, a book that I was shocked how much I really enjoyed. This is Blue Falcon and Dynomutt #1. This is another one of we are pretty soon having an entire block of Saturday morning cartoons back in.
I think we already have it, right?
Yeah, this is like, you've got a Saturday and Sunday block now. This is by Jimmy Palmiotti and Pasquale Colano. And this was, I want to say, a little deceiving at first, because I was like, this is pretty straightforward, but it does take a twist that I thought was really fun. So Radley Crown is Blue Falcon. He is, he's feels like a Hanna-Barbera character.
Yeah.
He's upstanding. He's really nice.
Yeah.
He has a scientist he's working with, which the scientist he's working with doesn't even necessarily know what he's working on, because he doesn't know that he's the Blue Falcon.
Yeah.
But Radley is like, I'm going to triple your pay. You've been so good. This is a all-around cool guy, Blue Falcon. Now, he is having some nightmares. Some pretty, harsh nightmares of him as Blue Falcon fighting some kind of monster superhero, and pretty over the top, more than he would usually fight. But those are, of course, just dreams. Also, the other key part of this is Dino, his pet dog. Now, not the robotic Dynomutt. This is a regular dog.
He's a very good boy.
A very good boy.
Yeah.
His best friend.
Yep.
He even has a new, Radley has a new girlfriend, but he still puts the dog in front of her,
Yeah.
like we all know. But everything's coming up. Blue Falcon, his life is great. We do learn what the scientist is working on, and it is a way for Blue Falcon to fly by himself. So he's like, I can better protect the city with my ability to fly, all of that. But unbeknownst to him, maybe the scientist he's working with is dealing in some shady business, and some people come to take what they believe is theirs by breaking into Blue Falcon's headquarters, which is, his suit and stuff is like hidden within this office building.
Yeah.
But what happens then suddenly changes this from being a happy-go-lucky series to uh, essentially Blue Falcon John Wick.
Right.
Where you've made him so mad, he has lost all the kindness in his body, and now it's going to get real. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes. I thought the art was really strong in this. I know about as much about Blue Falcon and Dynomutt as anyone else does. Just some vague memories of the cartoon.
Yeah, I mean, how much is there to know? I mean, they were just like short little, Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
Yeah, so this really does build a lot of character around kind of the skeletal structure of these characters. Yeah. And I love Jimmy Palmiotti's writing. I think it fits perfect for this. But like I said, it starts out fun and then it does take a turn. And I'm looking forward to seeing where it's going after this. So yeah, if you're looking for another Saturday morning cartoon to get into, might I suggest Blue Falcon and Dynomutt. Number 1, here's your A cover. We also have an Amanda Connor cover. And we got a Linsner cover. Plus, we've got a couple incentives. We've got a 1 in 20. This is the version of the Amanda Connor cover. And we have a 1 in 10 of the Linsner that is a foil version of that. That's really nice. For $11.99.
All right, next up is One World Under Doom number 7. There are 2 more parts left after this one. And this one's the tide is starting to turn, though. Like, things are starting to change because the true nature behind Doom's power was revealed to the world last issue. And now not all of, but some of the world is starting to turn against him because of what was revealed last issue. So all the heroes see this as their time to strike, and they do, but they still don't have much luck because Doom is just so darn powerful. That is until Reed unveils something brand new. And the last several pages are actually just a fight between Reed and Doom, which just feels really classic. Did I put the wrong cover up?
Yep.
Whoops. Sorry.
You have the A cover? Here you go.
Yeah, that's the A cover. I was like, yeah, that doesn't seem right.
Because you've got the 2 fighting on the cover.
That's right, yeah. So actually this kind of sort of does happen in the last part of the book. But yeah, I mean, it's I guess the last couple parts are just going to be all about, Doom secrets have been revealed, and now we've got to take him down, and how best do we do that? And that's it.
There is a little bit of a Deus Ex Machina in this that I hope is explained a little further coming up.
It's like, when did that happen? Where did that come from?
Yeah. Not that it wasn't cool, but it was kind of like, I feel like I missed a part where this was explained.
Yeah, exactly.
But we'll see going forward if that's touched upon.
So yeah, the series keeps on trucking. So there is the actual A cover right there. This is the RB Silva variant. This is, I did not get the name on this one.
Bianchi.
Yeah, that looks like Bianchi right there. This is the Caselli 1 in 25 that we're selling for $19.99. And then just to, not a variant to Doom, but just to go along with that is the final issue of Superior Avengers as well. And this is, Doom shows up in this, which is really cool, and has some really cool and brutal moments. And can't really tell you much more than that without spoiling the whole thing, because it is the end of the story. But just wanted to let you know that tie-in wraps up this week as well.
Well, next up, because he's my favorite character, I got to talk about Aquaman number 9. And this is really cool. So we are kind of wrapped up our the Blue story, even though there is some bits of that going forward. But Aquaman is they do find a way to return back to the regular universe. They're not trapped in Dagon's world anymore. But there is all the fallout that happened from that. Mera has died. You actually see them, at a little bit of a funeral in the beginning while they're still in the Blue, and the Wonder Twin is there. Zan
Yeah.
is there along with Nemo and Aquaman's a kind of a grown-up daughter, Andy now. So this is a very big turning point. But also, what happened previously is Aquaman is now like channeling the Blue. He's almost the avatar of the Blue, like how Swamp Thing is like the avatar of the Green. And once they get back to the regular world, it's kind of revealed that Aquaman is almost like a god level power. You even see him stop a punch from Superman by like catching his arm, and everybody's kind of blown away. He returns to the Watchtower, but he's still not ready to be part of the Justice League, day to day. He's still grieving. He's still got a lot of stuff to figure out. There's an awesome moment where you also see how powerful he is and what he's capable of doing that is really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But there is still a mystery, and that mystery gets even bigger at the end. That maybe we're not done with the whole story of Atlantis yet. This was a really fun issue. It's cool to see him back interacting with Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman and that whole crew. And yeah, issue number 9, Aquaman. We've also got a couple of variants for that. We've got this Perio variant. And we have this Lyrics cover with Mera.
Next up is Godzilla number 2. This is the, in this new Godzilla shared universe from IDW, along with Starship Godzilla, which we haven't gotten yet, and
Escape
the Dead Zone, yeah.
Yep.
So in this one, G-Force discovers these... G-Force, which is the team that's trying to fight Godzilla, they discover these, like, worm-like kaiju that apparently can siphon a kaiju's blood or maybe a kaiju's energy to slow them down. So they want to try to utilize those weird worm kaiju to try to stop Godzilla. So they concoct this plan to take these worm-like creatures out to sea in the path of Godzilla, in his like feeding path, in the hopes of killing it. But before they find Godzilla, they're attacked by pirates, and so there's like a little scuffle between G-Force and these pirate characters. But they may all soon have even bigger problems than that. So just continuing this really cool story. I really like this new era of Godzilla and these other connected stories as well. And here is the next part. So there's your A cover right there. And then we have this Tim Seeley variant.
Next up, I have Star Wars Jedi Knights, issue number 7. This continues from the previous issue where Qui-Gon Jinn has been poisoned on this planet, and Aayla Secura and Mace Windu are, trying to figure out what to do. They head to a planet that they know that the poison that he was poisoned with is from, but it's not a very welcoming to Jedi planet. And to get this antidote, the Jedi must work with some pretty bad people and go against their own beliefs to slay a giant monster to hopefully get this antidote. So this was a really fun issue. This continues to be one of my favorite Star Wars books currently coming out. Here is your A cover for that. And we have a Sprouse. This is part 8 of 10 of the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith.
Getting near the end.
Yep.
All right, I've got Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion number 4. And in this one, Miles and May are still working together to track down Billy. And they track down Magic, who has Billy. And Magic mentions how Billy has been placed into this apparatus to try to open the Maker's Dome early. And what I thought was really interesting about this is that she says that the process will destroy Billy, but that'll be a blessing for her given what would come afterwards, after the dome opens. And she also says that once the Maker's Dome opens, a terrible new world will be born and most will not survive. And I just thought that might be some interesting foreshadowing for Ultimate Endgame coming up. I don't know for sure, but we know that that dome's going to come open near the end of December. I just thought her saying that was maybe it's going to be even like it's. I was like, oh, it's just going to open and there's the Maker and they're going to fight, but it might be even worse than that.
Yeah.
Like if something terrible may happen. So I don't know, but I just thought it was cool foreshadowing, and we're not done yet because they still didn't get Billy. They still got to try to track her down, but it's still going on. So this is the A cover, and this is the. I don't have this ratio. This may be like a 1 in 25 from Greg Land that we're selling for $19.99.
They should just name her Billy McGuffin Morales.
Yeah, right.
Everybody's trying to get her.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, we've got issue number 2 of TAMA, and I like this one better than the first issue. I like the first issue, but this really kind of turned up the action. So Kit, our main character, who has this new fun little computerized friend, his TAMA, which is like a Pokemon or whatever, but is or should only stay within the computer. He can see it in his room with VR goggles and stuff, but mostly this is a digital pet. But what he doesn't realize is that Tama is traveling through computers and murdering people who've treated him badly. And we see some of that. And it seems like the stronger this Tama gets, the more it can get outside of the computer and affect things around it. So there's even some weird stuff where he's playing with it. Like, oh, it's bouncing around his room, but it's only in his VR glasses. But you see outside the room and like the blinds will move like when he runs past it, or something will move, and you realize, oh, it's actually having an effect on the outside world. It's even leveling up. Like he sees its stats and he's like, oh, you're at level 2 now, and it unlocks certain abilities.
Yeah.
which is kind of cool.
I know. I was like, no, don't press that button.
Leave it at level 1.
Yeah.
But Kit starts to realize that maybe this Tama can use it to, oh, I need to get out of school. Maybe he can like pull a fire alarm or do something. And it's all fun and games right now until you see what it does on the last page, and maybe he also comes to realize that what he's dealing with is pretty bad. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where the series goes, because we've only met this one, but we do know there's a whole group of them. This is a 6-issue miniseries, and this is only issue number 2. So I thought this one was really fun. I thought it was better than the first issue. And yeah, here is your A cover, and that is the only cover I have for it.
Okay, I've got the UnChosen number 3. Just wanted to talk about this one real quick because if you're reading this is kind of a midpoint or an important book, because Ada, who is the main girl here, she learns more about what the word is, which is like it's almost like the magic or the power that that these people can tap into. So she learns more about what it is exactly, but she still has lots of questions. But something happens in this issue that turns the entire series on its ear, and it puts everything that we saw in issue number 1 in a different perspective. So maybe everything that you thought you saw in issue number 1 wasn't the way you thought you saw it, basically. Yeah. So yeah, very, very cool. So just want to let you know, if you've been reading this, don't miss this one, because things change in this. And this is the only cover.
I've got Supergirl number 5. This is a little bit of a filler issue. There's not actually a whole lot of Supergirl in this. This is broken up into 2 stories, one with Crypto and Candy the bunny, the kind of mean bunny, fighting Princess Shark, and Paulina Genechow does the art for that. And the animals can think, but they can't talk to each other. So you see like one being like, I wonder if Candy's doing this, and then Candy's, so they're not going back and forth, but there is dialogue of the animals, which is kind of funny. And the other story in this is Streaky the cat, and this one I like, with the tiny Titano, the gorilla, since they shrunk him, and he rides on Streaky's back. And this is a story about them running into a couple of superpowered, crazy super kittens that have like shape-shifting abilities, and they're causing a bunch of ruckus. This one, the art is by Rosie Camp. But like I said, almost no Supergirl in this until the final page and a half, where you see they're setting up the next, what's going to happen in the beginning of the next issue. So it's a little weird to get a filler issue this early on. Usually it's between like volumes.
Yeah,
You would
between
get that.
story arcs, yeah.
But maybe this was just a 4-issue story arc, and now we're gonna start a new one in the next one. But it was still fun, but it was, Supergirl light. This was more of a Crypto and the Super Pets issue. We've got our A cover here, and we've got some phenomenal variants. So we have our Dan Mora corner box art variant, which is so nice.
Love it.
We've got this one's really good too. This is the Chuma Hill pumpkin spicy cover. I like her like bone leggings and her hair stuck in spider webs. This one's very fitting. This is the Chrissy Zulo cover with Streaky. We've got another beautiful Art Germ cover. And we have a 1 in 25. This is the Audrina Mello cover that we're selling for $24.99. It's really, really nice.
All right, I have got Spider-Verse versus Venomverse number 5. This is the final issue of this miniseries. The spiders and the symbiotes, at least the ones that we've been following in the series, they have decided to stop fighting each other. So the web and the hive, the big like spiritual things that have been running this whole thing, they bring in lots more spiders and lots more symbiotes from other realities, and they kind of mind control them all into fighting each other because they want their tournament to see who's going to win. But Eddie Brock, but not the Eddie Brock from 616, the one from another universe.
The good guy, Eddie Brock.
He comes up with a plan to save them all, and he gets a cool new design. So he doesn't just look like regular Venom anymore like he has throughout the rest of the series. He gets a cool new design for that. And we may see that again in the future. I'm not sure because, again, it's not the main Earth 616 Eddie Brock. So, I don't know when we'll see him again. It's been a while, but we might see this other Eddie with his new design at some point. But yeah, it all wraps up right here. So if you've been reading it up to now, do not miss the last part. And there is our A cover. And this is the Nieto variant. Is that the PS2? That's the Insomniac Spider-Man?
Yeah.
That's very cool. He's not in this. And then this is the Vecchio 1 in 10 design variant that we're selling for $9.99, featuring the Japanese Spider-Man's Venom counterpart that we learned about last issue, which is really cool.
Real briefly, I want to mention Red Hulk number 8. This one, we see Wild Streak, who is this other character, trying to help Thunderbolt Ross out of that containment that he was in, where they're experimenting on him, making different parts of his body Red Hulk out. That's very body horror, very scary. And they're going to try to escape from this Rikers facility. But they are pursued, and I don't want to give too much away, but you do see some pretty awesome Red Hulk action at the end of this that give me a lot of hope that we're going to be seeing more coming up soon.
Yeah, that's been the only... we just haven't had... It's been 8 issues, and we've barely had any Red Hulk. It's still been a good story, but it's time for Red Hulk to start...
this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the last couple of pages are like, this is some prime Hulk content.
Yeah.
But we've got our A cover here. And we have this Ramcharon variant, which they don't fight. They're actually pretty good friends.
Yeah, they're pals. They're best of pals now. All right, last for me is Edge of Venomverse number 1. This is a physical collection of the 8-issue Edge of Venomverse Marvel Infinity comic from back in 2023. So it was digital on the Marvel Unlimited app, so now they're collecting it all in this one volume. And it's about Agent Venom, the Anne Weying version, the Anne Weying from Earth 1051, that version of Agent Venom. She's traveling the multiverse hunting Carnage. And we see a bunch of different kinds of Venoms in this. And a couple of the issues are by a different artist whose name I forgot to write down. But they have this like cute cartoony style. I think one of them is like when like a cutesy little animal creature gets a symbiote. So there's a couple that are like very cutesy, and then the rest of them are just like a standard Venom story. So if you want a physical version of that, or if you've never read that, it's all collected in this one book. And this is the only cover.
And last for me, I just want to mention that Powers number 1 is coming out. This is, of course, the Powers that has been around for now 25 years since the 25th anniversary. And they say this is a new ongoing, but it also says 12 issues. So I don't know if I don't know which it is.
Yeah.
But 12 is.
Well, it's ongoing for 12 issues.
Yeah, that's true. It's not going to stop in those 12 issues.
Right.
And this is a return to that world of kind of a what if superheroes were real a little bit, by the original creative team, Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Avon Oeming. Uh, it says a look at the world of heroes through the eyes of a homicide detective and her brand new partner. And the first power, and they call superheroes in this powers, to take part in the powers division. This starts off with a what they think is a dead superhero that's crashed on top of this building. They bring in the coroner and stuff, but it turns out that it's not, has not died, and that starts this big mystery about what's going on here. So here's the thing: I have read like the first 2 or 3 volumes of the original Powers. I like it, but this, I feel like you do need to know a little bit about this world going into this. Um, they say it's new reader friendly, and I think it is, but you have to be willing to kind of just accept some things, be like, okay, I may not completely understand that, but I'm gonna go with it. So it was still good, even though I'd only read a little bit of it. But I do, even still, with having read a couple of volumes, had a little bit of a leg up if someone hadn't read it before. But I believe like you can get all of those volumes very, very easily. There's even a QR code in here for the Powers Discord, and there's free comics in that. So they're trying to make it where you can catch up to this.
I have one pretty thick volume of Powers. It's not like a full compendium, but it's got a lot in it. So
Yeah,
there's stuff.
yeah.
It's available in trade.
There was a very brief TV show on the PlayStation Network.
That was weird.
It was very weird. But if you've never read Powers before, you could still pick this up, and you can make your way through it. I think you'll get the general idea of the world by the end of it. But if you're a longtime Powers fan, it's kind of been off and on for 25 years, and now it is back with a new #1, at least for what it looks like 12 issues. So you've got your A cover here, and you've got a Mignola cover. So yeah, like there's new characters, but the old characters are referenced some and everything.
And real quick before we go, we had one box that came in today that had some books that we didn't have access to. A couple Mad Cave books we just wanted to show you. So the first issue of It Killed Everyone But Me comes out this week, but again, we didn't have a chance to read it. It just showed up just a little while ago. But that's out this week, as well as the first issue of Racer X, which is going to run parallel to the current Speed Racer series that's coming out for Mad Cave as well. So just want to let you know that if you were looking for either of these, they both come out this week. We just did not have time to read them.
Yes. But that is it. There's still so much more that we didn't talk about. There's still more variants, more everything over at infinityflux.net. These books are up there live while supplies last, so go ahead and place your orders. That way when these books are released, you don't have to worry about it. You will already have your name on them, and you don't have to scramble. Some great stuff coming out this week. Let us know in the comments which ones you're most excited for. And make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. That way you get these videos multiple times a week where we talk about comic goodness. So, with all that being said, we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.